Should lock the pods down.
Holy shit! Holy shit! You know the last thing I thought I was gonna see then? A fucking boulder flying at my face. There's the intro. Ooh.
Alright.
When I hunting big dinosaurs. Like Fueled by Metallica. Horizon Zero Dawn, mate!
See, I did the intro for this one. Matey! Another PlayStation exclusive up in this bitch! What is Horizon Zero Dawn?
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs from Guerrilla Games, not really known for doing good games. Think they might surprise us this time, mate. Spoiler alert. Because it's a really good game, isn't it, mate?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're gonna go. Yeah, this is your baby.
I'll take it. To be honest, mate, I have no idea. All I see is primitive hunting, futuristic dinosaurs. Pretty good.
It's pretty weird. It's back in time, but also future in time. So go and kill some robo dinosaurs, mate. Have fun.
Thanks, mate.
Select character.
What's that now? Don't like the cold? Can't stay in today. We have a ritual to perform, you and I.
Mate, we've got robo dinosaurs. We've got a lovely ginger lass. What's going on?
I don't know, but that's not a bad point. It's feeding me info through the game.
We've got a decent story here.
We've got a very decent story, I'm hoping the ending's as good. We haven't finished it yet, but I'll tell you what we know. Well, I'll tell you a bit of the synopsis.
Give you the setting.
Let me give you the setting, mate. So the story is basically set in the far distant future.
Right.
Yeah? And humanity at some point has mastered robotic technology, but some kind of unknown calamity has basically brought civilization to its knees, and now the machines are dominating the planet in the form of dinosaurs.
So a little Matrixy, maybe, but not
kind
really.
of, yeah, kind of. I see what you mean there. But anyway, when the machines take over, humans basically regress back to a primitive state, and they have to live side by side in tribes, also at peace with most of these machines, because these machines, they are machines, but they are dinosaur like mentally programmed, so they're carnivores, they're herbivores.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying. So
yeah.
they're not dangerous animals.
Well, some of them are. Yeah.
Otherwise, that wouldn't make, that would be a shitty game if it was like us and the friendly
but
robot
some of
dinosaurs.
them just don't attack you. But anyway, so the plot evolves around our main lass, who's called Aloy. Yeah, and she's beautiful. She's a hunter, and she's an actual outcast, which is another point to the story. Is like we said that everyone lives in tribes, and her guardian, who's called Rost, are outcasts. Now, outcasts are shunned by the tribes.
I think we have to point out, because somebody's going to try and educate us, that we do understand that Aloy and Rost sound like Alloy and Rust.
Yes.
Just
that
for the
is
sake
without
of someone
saying,
going, did you know
you're going to
me?
get a random swat
Yeah,
who
did you
says,
know me?
Aloy and Rust,
Yes,
mate.
we get that. Anyway, onwards.
So we're setting out as a child to find out why we're outcasts, why these machines have taken over, and what really caused the downfall of civilization.
And there is this mythos that seems to be throughout most of the people in the game, is that technology is off limits. Like, they don't want you fucking around.
They're intimidated by it, very much so.
It must seem very scary, and I like that, because they are supposed to be like caveman style.
Yeah.
So technology must look like the work of the gods, essentially, which is something you could probably imagine.
They consider it evil. Like at the start of it, as when we're a young girl, we visit a tribe and basically get shunned as a girl. So she runs.
Yeah, as a little girl, it's horrible.
The cutscene is so upsetting because, it's not a spoiler. It's literally the start of the game.
Tutorial of the game.
Yeah, the kids of the tribe are picking berries for the tribe with they've got a watcher, and Aloy's watching them, seeing how much fun they're having, and then she picks some and takes them to this woman who basically shuns her. And this kid, and they've done it really well. This kid's face is beautiful. And she's so upset, and she just runs.
Yeah, I've played that part myself, and I was just like, "Wow, that was cold."
But they've done it.
Cold,
they've done it
because she says, "Kids, come away from her."
Yeah, exactly. It tugs your heartstrings. They did it very, very well. So you fall into a hole in the ground, which actually leads to a place which is part of our current civilization, which to them is ancient, but scary.
The technological side. It's
Exactly.
Very creepy,
so when we're in the hole, she actually walks around. She's scared. She finds old corpses and technology. And one of the corpses has a thing on its head called a focus.
Looks like a Bluetooth headpiece.
It does exactly look like a Bluetooth headpiece. So she puts it on and then she sees all lights appear. Now, to us, it gives us like a heads-up display
It's
reading.
a HUD, yeah.
It's a heads-up display, yeah, it's a HUD. So it shows us interactables, it shows us friendlies, enemies, weak points, and that kind of thing. And that's the crux of how she comes to get that target in
It's
focus.
a slight advantage. You're basically the best hunter in the world. Horrible.
So the last part of the actual story is, so we get trained by Rost, who's our guardian, to take part in the trials, which is part of the tribe. Now, the winner of the trials gets to ask the elders any question they want and become part of the tribe.
Yeah.
So she can become part of it and then ask about her parents, basically. And that's when things go tits up.
That's
where we're going to stop.
And that's where we're going to stop because the story's great.
The story is
great.
very good. Very good.
So gameplay then.
Amazing.
It is so
It's
fucking good.
I tell you what,
It's so fucking good.
There was one small little nitpick that I had about the combat, but we'll get to that at the end of it. But that aside, I mean, even it was a pretty high level nitpick, but that aside, it didn't bother me enough to not want to stop playing it.
Totally.
Now, it's an amazing open world. The scenery is so varied and it is beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely
It's
gorgeous.
really nice. So it's like forests, desert, mountains, snow, sun, rain, nighttime, daytime, and everything that is there. The foliage, the animals, like the actual organic animals as well as the machines that are just maybe grazing or something. It looks beautiful. The amount of times that I just wanted to, like, because our cover in this game is like long reeds that we can hide from the dinosaurs and stuff. It just comes to the point where, you know, like that scene in Gladiator where he's just running his hands along the reeds? When you walk through the reeds, she does that. And I was just doing that in some of the most picturesque, beautiful places in the game.
It sucks you in.
beautiful.
I think that's the point here, is the detail. I mean, even on the PS4, and we played it on the Pro, it just sucks you in sometimes. It's one of those games, before we get too into the gameplay, is going out and just hunting. Not doing a quest, not doing anything specific.
lose
Going out and
yourself.
hunting is a really enjoyable part of the game.
And that's a nice segue, pal, to... I mean, I was going to say this a bit later on, but I'll use this now, is when you're hunting the dinosaurs, which we do need for parts, ammunition, that kind of thing, because it's got a craftable system for your own ammo and weapons. Now, these dinosaurs, obviously in variation, also have strong and weak points, but the things that you can do with these dinosaurs, let me give you an example, is there was a pack of kind of like dinosaur crocodiles.
Yeah.
And now you put your focus on to see the strong points and the weak points, what they're weak to, and you find out they've got a big coolant tank on the chest. Now, if you can rupture the coolant tank and it will freeze like one of them, kind of like T-1000. But if they're in a pack and you manage to set up a trap, let's say, to get them together, then explode a coolant tank, it will freeze all of them in place, so you can run up and get your crits in. But there's other things like, later on we were fighting saber-toothed tigers, and we knocked the armor off the eyes, and then shot them in the eyes, and it left them in a constant state of no alert.
yeah, just total blindness.
Just total blindness. You can stand next to them, they couldn't attack you because they couldn't see you, kind of thing. So
So how do we do that? You mentioned traps and stuff there. What tools have we got? to
Right,
actually
we've
go
got
hunting?
lots of things. We start off with a spear and a bow and arrow as we go through the game. In fact, I'm going to say you get them quite early on. It's just at your leisure that you want to use them. They don't lock a lot of the items
Big
behind
thing
level.
at the moment. Big thing at the moment, because spoilers, I'm currently doing Breath of the Wild, is giving you everything at the beginning and just letting you go free with it.
It's such a good idea.
Yeah, Zelda works in exactly the same
Yeah.
way. It's just like, literally in the first 10 minutes, it's like, this is every skill in the game.
Yeah.
Go. And have fun.
Exactly.
And that's it.
You create your own epics if you do that, if you like.
Absolutely.
So we've got the bow and arrow and the spear. Then we get a rope trap, which is basically an electrified rope that you fire both ends to create a wire trap, which is so good. An example of that being, I needed a metal farm, and we were among a bunch of grazers. Couldn't get me fucking words out.
alright.
Among a bunch of grazers, which are just basically... It's going to sound harsh when I say peaceful grazing type dinosaurs. There was a flock of like 8 of them. So I'd fired about 8 rope traps down because it's only 1 proc per animal. And then I ran on the other side of them to intimidate them. And then they all ran into the rope traps. And then I just laid down a firebomb and killed them all like the
Oh,
pals.
that's mean.
But the
man.
thing is, though, that when you're actually hunting for packs like that, it's so efficient, but it feels good that you paid it off. You've herded them into these rope traps. You get things like slingshots, which will debuff a target. So that you, like if a boss maybe perhaps is not immune, if it's weak to fire, you can debuff it so it takes increased fire damage. Then you'll switch over to like a flame arrow or fire bombs and things like that and knock them out. It's so variable, and the playstyle actually caters for your playstyle more because of the talent trees as well.
Not a boring talent tree.
They are
Not
very,
a
very
boring
good.
talent tree.
It's basically a case of the three main things about the talent trees. There's stealth, there's brawler, and there's basically an engineer.
And it's not just gives you 5% more spear damage, gives you 10% more bow damage. It's just like, is that the way you like to play? Here's some cool combos to go along with that.
Like the ranged kind of specialities, the more the stealth one, which I was picking, is little things like you can slow down bullet time when you're making a precision shot, and now on top of that I can get more arrows out during that time. But also if I chose to slide or jump with my bow out, it would initiate a brief bullet time as well. Little things like that are so fucking cool. And when you pull it off, like if you're jumping off a rock, whip out the bow and arrow, which goes into slow time, then you nail something in the eye for a one shot. It feels quality.
It's setting you up for those epic moments by just giving you all the tools. And if you prefer that style of play, it feels that much better.
Absolutely.
It's not throwing it down your throat.
Yeah. And one final point is you can actually hack the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You get a remote quite early on which you attach to your spear, which will let you hack the dinosaurs as a battle pet or a mount. Now, through the game, you can unlock higher levels of code to unlock higher level dinosaurs. We didn't, unfortunately, do that. I tried to do it. What the guys were saying, it's like, take the outpost, you get better code.
Yeah,
I took a few, but
so it does have the... It's just it's not Far Cry, but there is these Far Cry-ish open world elements.
Absolutely, crafting.
Yeah, absolutely
you can upgrade your ammo, satchels, resources, how many pots you can carry, that kind of thing. A la Far Cry,
typical RPG stuff. Yeah, the really rudimentary stuff.
It doesn't. You get 9 times out of 10, you're getting that passively.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way of tackling it, as opposed to the Far Cry system, which was like, do all these outposts and we'll give you a gun or something like that. It's just moving through the world makes you want to do it, and the ones that aren't usually on your path, they're the difficult ones.
Exactly.
They're the ones that, like, okay, you're going out your way, you're going to get fucked.
Yeah.
You're going to get fucked. Did you have, before we go into the final pros and cons, did you have any awesome set piece battles? Because we've talked so very much about doing it however you want to do.
Yeah.
Did you have anything that where the story, where the story said, okay, now you know how to do this. Let's put you in a fucking situation that's a bit tricky.
There were a couple of story parts that did do that, but I think the most epic scenes that I could get were the ones that I created, purely on the grounds that it was quite grandiose. Let me give you an example being, there was these massive, and I mean massive, bull-type dinosaurs, and they were grazing. They're passive, but if you attack them, they will fucking charge you down. On the cliffs were vulture bots, right? So I started to fight one of these bulls. It took me a while, and then another bull got involved, and I thought, I'm going to fucking die here. So then I had to use my traps, my wire traps, stealthing in the grass, because that's another thing, is if you stealth in the grass and they pass by, you can get a stealth attack, which is an instant crit. And I took down one of the bulls, and then the vultures came off the mountain, which wasn't close by. You could see them fly off the mountain to come down and actually eat the fucking the robot dinosaur that was down, which was very cool. But then as soon as the vultures were involved and they took a bit of passive damage, now the vultures got involved as well, so you really had to use your smarts about doing it. So we used, like, not so much tunnels, but like bridge type passes, so the vultures have to swoop down right into a wire trap, because that would put them on the deck and get as many melee hits as you can while avoiding the bulls that are coming in, and you get some really good loot from doing the higher level passive dinosaurs like that as well. So there was loads of instances like that.
That's excellent.
It was so good. So conclusion, mate.
Yeah. So the pros and
the cons. Yeah, we did. The pros. It's a beautiful world, like we talked about in depth at the start of it. It's for a console, and I keep saying that, and I don't mean to be condescending, right?
It's not condescending. But console always got to.
Yeah, for a console, it was absolutely beautiful. The story when the characters were extremely gripping. There's lots of customizations, which we also touched upon. But you can also customize your armor and your weapons for certain types of damage, resists, procs, that kind of thing as well. And the playstyle is very, very open and user-friendly.
Now, we did mention there is a bummer in the combat. I also want to say, fully agree with you. As after playing it myself, was like, it's just... okay, what is it?
Right, okay. So the cons are, this is the... We'll touch this one first because we've both got opinions about this, is there is no melee targeting option.
Yeah, from what I played, the vast majority of the gameplay I did was ranged-based. It was bow-based. But occasionally you do have to get fisticuffs
You do.
And there's no lock-on, which I'm very, very used to, as you guys probably know, Souls games and such. So I've played without lock-on lots and lots of times. So I wasn't expecting it to be a big deal. The camera just isn't there when you're doing it. The rolls aren't in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's too sludgy and slow to make up for the fact that the camera isn't automatically bringing you back towards the character.
But with no
Yeah,
lock
it
on,
sucks.
and the fact that with her spear, your melee attacks, both weak and strong, take you in quite a distance
Yeah.
moving forward. So 9 times out of 10, you go past the target. Even if you're getting a combination on, your next attack may take you like 4 feet past them because of
Especially
like,
because
the
it's
range
got
of
a
the
dodge
attack.
mechanic where you're diving out of the way. So you're actually covering
Yeah.
quite a lot of area of the floor when you're fighting, and the camera's constantly like leading you away from what you're actually fighting. And it's just one of those things. It's like, this is just a little frustrating. Although nearly everything you do is ranged based. When you do get into melee, it just feels like it was an afterthought. It's
But
like
also,
they weren't supposed to be
I
melee.
tell you what,
almost.
that also provoked me to do as well in the Brawler tree, which is the melee-based one, is there is a really cool ability to knock down, it sounds very stupid this, but let me give you an example, to knock down the bigger beast in one critical hit. Now, the trailer that it showed for the ability, like it does with a lot of new moves, is the fact that there was a saber-toothed tiger running at Aloy. She rolls out the way, and if you do an attack during roll, you do a different attack. She rolls out the way and then does a hard melee, and she basically swoops a staff underneath the saber-tooth and knocks it flat down on its face, which you can then run up and get a crit. But I didn't want to take that because I know that I couldn't, maybe, if I can't target it and it's running at me, the chances are I'm going to miss it.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just not going to connect.
Exactly.
It's that connection all between you and what you're fighting. And
Yeah.
lock on, like it or not, in games that have gameplay where you're doing close combat attacks and dodges and rolls away, that lock on is kind of invaluable in a lot of scenarios.
Absolutely.
And without it, you just kind of end up going, I've got to get back to the target. I'm not exactly where I want
And
to be.
when mobs come in melee range, because you do fight humanoids as well, when mobs come in melee range, you just find yourself running away, sliding, and then like me when I had the ability from the stealth tree, just turning, jumping, shooting.
Yeah.
Shame,
Yeah, it's a
really.
bit of
It's a
a
shame. But outside of that, that was, like we said before, it's a pretty big con, but it didn't stop me from wanting to play
Well,
the game.
the simple fact is, the vast majority of the time, you're never in melee.
Exactly,
It's a simple
exactly.
fact.
2 of the points that I've got for my negs are, the second is the lip sync was miles off.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's very
Almost
strange.
Bethesda style.
Bethesda stuff, but it was miles off. I don't mean just the movement of the lips. I mean like Jones in Police Academy, where they'll finish speaking, but their lips are still flapping 10 minutes after,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And the last one is sometimes in the more grandiose, sort of picturesque areas, there was a bit of frame rate issue, but then at the end of the day,
Not surprised.
it's not surprising how big the
I know
game
it
is.
sounds like a cop out, and you're just like, they should be making it 60. Totally agree. They haven't, and I always go as PC gamers primarily. When we go to console games, I'm not surprised.
You've got
I'm
to
not
expect
surprised.
it, no? You've got to
But the
expect it.
conclusion is, it's fucking
Amazing game.
Another amazing game to add to that PlayStation library. Well played, really fantastic. So recommended. Another reason to pick up a PS.
Pretty good.
You know what the best part about watching this is, because I'm playing it now because it's a well good game, is that you were like, I think both of us expected some sort of Far Cry type deal, you know,
Yeah.
the usual open world shit we've seen recently, especially as we came off the back of Ghost Recon, where we were like, Bolivia? Really? Really? Bolivia? And watching you go, this game's really good. Oh, that's cool. Oh, and then later, just listening to you play it by 2 hours in, you were like, this game's really, really good.
Do you know what
This
the
game's
best
really
part about
good.
the game is? For me, the most obvious question was, why the fuck are we like primitive? And why is the futuristic dinosaurs, right? I'm so invested in the story, but that's not even been touched upon yet.
Yeah, and
It's well good.
And the story's amazing. Obviously, we don't want to go into it too much, but even in the very early part of the game where you're a little girl, is you find the corpses of people and you find out that there was like this weird
Like
shit
our
going
time
on.
currently
Yeah, and
now
that-
is ancient times.
It's the best way of giving you bits of story, of just saying, keep giving you pieces of information from all over the place, and then in your head you're like, I have theories?
Yeah.
And then just waiting for that payoff is just, that's what engages you. It's not like, here's the next bit of exposition. Here's the next bit of exposition. They handled it so
But they
well.
don't let any of the like. They don't let any of the linear story points go stale. They address everything nicely, so that you don't have to be reminded, but it continues your knowledge of that arc of the story.
And then they
as
mixed
well.
into the idea that we're primitive human beings and trying to make sense of what is clearly technology 1,000 years in the future because we're basically cavemen. So this technology thousands of years in the future, and people are trying to make sense of it in their own primitive way, which forms cults and all that kind of stuff around it. Fantastic game, and I've got to say, we've said it several times, is the PlayStation library right now is fucking awesome. The exclusive
Blowing
library.
up, mate.
We've got an Xbox One here. I can't justify anybody buying an Xbox.
No,
I really can't. PlayStation is just dominating right now, which is fair play to them. That's what they're aiming to do, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed that one, check out our previous Mates What's of Ghost Recon Wildlands. It's a funny video.
The video is hilarious. The game, however,
Not so much. Not so
Bingo.
much. See you, everybody.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Where is it?
I'm getting a Dolores minivan.
Dude, he's got one of those Suzuki. You've just got in the back.
I expect to be fucking driven.
You know what? This is absolutely right. I'm with you there. Hey, Sliz, this thing's not going to drive itself, Plurge.